couple months back, I made some wild predictions for what was in store for Pokemon Go in spring 2025. Specifically, I said that there would be a Part 2 to the Wild Area event slated sometime in May. Then Niantic proceeded to prove me at least partially wrong by announcing an announcement for Pokemon Go Fest 2025 expected sometime in February. Meaning, if my prediction were right, they would be announcing an announcement for that. But since they haven't, they most likely aren't. But hey, that's the name of the game. Predictions. Meaning sometimes you're right, but oftentimes you're wrong or only partially right. So let's adjust our expectations and predict Pokemon Go Fest 2025. In my previous prediction video, I stated that the Pokemon Go calendar reveals a 6-month gap between the tour event and Go Fest. One which would be filled nicely by another Wild Area event. But with Niantic's announcement that Pokemon Go Fest will now take place in June, coupled with the Unova Tour taking place in early March, it does indeed appear that Niantic is making some common sense adjustments to when major events take place. Having tour events in February means players in the Northern Hemisphere are outside freezing, while players in the Southern Hemisphere are outside cooking. And having Pokemon Go Fest in August is just the same problem, only the other way around. So moving each event a little in either direction provides both slightly more moderate conditions for outdoor play, while keeping them equidistant from each other. So while I feel that my prediction for a Wild Area Part 2 in May is wrong, I'm going to maintain that a second Wild Area event should be expected in November 2025. But wild speculation about the existence of events aside, one thing we do know for certain is that there is a Pokemon Go Fest 2025 that is happening in June. And with an announcement coming soon, what is it going to look like? Well, let's get speculating. But I need to step up my game, not just make wild guesses based on tiny trends from past events. We need to really get in there, crunch some numbers, and see what we can figure out. So I have taken a close look at every single global Pokemon Go Fest, studied the spawns, studied the regions they came from, which ones were capable of being shiny, and how close their shiny release was to the event. And I am ready to show you what I have learned and what we can expect. Okay, for the purposes of this video, I'm only going to focus on shiny eligible spawns. Yes, Pokemon Go Fest has had spawns that couldn't be shiny. Did anyone care? Were you excited to catch a Golett in 2022 or a Marlol in 2023? Of course not. So, shiny spawns. Here's how they break down by year. In 2022, there were 51 shiny eligible spawns in the wild. In 2021, this dropped to 46. 2022, it dropped again to 39. 2023, it rose to 50. And in 2024, it jumped all the way up to 56. Since we can't know precisely why Niantic chose any of these numbers, I think the safest thing to do here is to remove the most extreme outliers and settle on an average across the remaining years, which gives us a grand total of 49 shiny eligible spawns for Pokemon Go Fest 2025. But let's go a bit deeper and see if we can spot trends that might indicate which Pokemon will be selected for the event. So let's talk generations. Pokemon Go Fest 2020 occurred when there were 5 generations in the game, and the breakdown for the event looked like this. More than 1/3 of the spawns were from Gen 1, which makes sense considering the Pokemon Company has always favored the Kanto region, since that's the generation most people are the most familiar with. Then we have Gen 2 with 12 spawns, or roughly 19%, Gen 3 with almost 1/4, Gen 4 with a paltry 6%, and Gen 5, the most recently released generation, at 17%. Pokemon Go Fest 2021 occurred after the release of Gen 6, but the event did not feature any shiny Pokemon from the Kalos region. Of the 46 shiny spawns, we had 24% from Gen 1, 14% from Gen 2, 29% from Gen 3, 14% from Gen 4, and 20% from Gen 5. A much more even distribution, even if they really don't seem to like including Johto or Sinnoh. Pokemon Go Fest 2022 with Gens 1 through 7 in the game, though we still don't have many Alolan Pokemon, this Go Fest had one of the more even mixes across generations, though they still seem to not care for Gen 2. Go Fest 2023 is still Gens 1 through 7, pretty even distribution for Gens 1 through 5 with a little sprinkling of 6 and 7. This is also the Go Fest that introduced something I haven't seen many people talk about before, the single shiny regional Pokemon with the inclusion of Heracross, and then again the following year with Corsola. That's a hint that we may get one this year as well. And that brings us to Pokemon Go Fest 2024. We now have Pokemon from Gens 1 through 9 in the game. Niantic finally stopped giving the cold shoulder to the Johto region, but holy cow did Sinnoh drop off. And here is where I spotted something interesting, right here. Last year at Pokemon Go Fest, more than 1/4 of all shiny eligible spawns were from the Unova region. And what is coming just around the corner? The Unova Tour. What does that mean? Well, it means you can expect a healthy dose of Kalos at Pokemon Go Fest 2025. Okay, so let's get back to our 49 spawns and plug in some numbers. We'll say about 1/4 or 13 will be from Kalos. Gen 1 has swung wildly between 15 to 25%, so let's average that to 20% and say 10. Gen 2 has been historically low, but has risen recently. On the other hand, there are more generations than ever in play, so let's give them 6. Gen 3 is simply a massive generation, with ties to numerous other regions. It's also very popular, so let's give them 10. Gen 4 continues to get the shaft with just 4. Gen 5 too, since the entire region was featured at the last tour event, while we see them start to promote the newer regions with tour events yet to be. But wait, there's more! Because one other metric I wanted to look at is, how close to Pokemon Go Fest were the shiny eligible spawns released? To do this, I'm going to sort them as follows. 1. Brand new shinies. These are Pokemon whose shinies are premiering for the very first time at Pokemon Go Fest. 2. Recent shinies. These are Pokemon whose shinies were released within 1 year of Pokemon Go Fest. 3. Old shinies. Any Pokemon whose shinies were released more than a year prior to Pokemon Go Fest. Of the 51 spawns at Go Fest 2020, 28 or around 55% were old, 17 or 1/3 were recent, and 6 or around 12% were brand new. 46 spawns at Pokemon Go Fest 2021, and wow, that's quite the change. 33 or 73% are old, 18% are recent, and 9% are new. 2022 and the ratios are kind of similar. Around 3/4 are old, 15% are recent, and 10% are brand new. 2023, and wow, this is becoming more lopsided. 50 spawns, 86% of which are old, just 6% are recent, and 8% are new. 2024, and we're starting to see a bit of an improvement. 56 spawns, 3/4 of which are old, but at this point the overwhelming majority of shinies are as well. But 9 or 16% are at least recent, and 3 or 5% are new. I think the pattern that emerges here is that Niantic has begun using Pokemon Go Fest as a chance for players to catch up on what they missed, whether it's including one region-exclusive shiny in 2023, or increasing the number of recently released shinies in 2024. I think within these distributions, you can find some pretty recognizable patterns that will help us predict what we'll find at Pokemon Go Fest 2025. Welcome, trainers, to Pokemon Go Fest 2025. Our first order of business is to discern what the masterwork research will be. Last year we got an encounter with the mythical Pokemon Marshadow from the Alola region. This tied in nicely with the Go Fest theme of night and day, light and dark, even though the event itself focused on Pokemon Black and White's Unova region. If Niantic follows this pattern for Pokemon Go Fest 2025 and focuses on the Kalos region like I think they will, that would mean an event themed around X and Y. And while I have no idea how they can do that, of the remaining unreleased mythical Pokemon to choose from, I'm going to go with Zeraora, since Z is the third main axis. Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to predict the future, so just let me cook. An electric sighting, Zeraora makes its global entrance in Pokemon Go. Ticket-holding trainers will be able to complete exclusive special research to learn more about the Thunderclap Pokemon, and have an opportunity to encounter it. Hello, Dreepy! Pokemon Go Fest 2025 global attendees will be able to encounter Shiny Dreepy for the first time, if they're lucky. Special Pokemon appearing in the wild. Alright, this is what you're here for. Let's see how many of these we can nail, starting with the Something Something habitat. I'm not even going to try and guess what they're going to be called. That's just silly and a waste of predictions. Anyway, from 10 to 11 a.m. and 2 to 3 p.m., you'll encounter Bulbasaur, Pikachu wearing something, Xatu, Hoppip, Tallow, Trapinch, Cacnea, Combee, Sewaddle, Skidoo finally being available globally, Honedge, bear with me here, Goomy, Phantump, and Scovet. I'm going with Honedge as the first unreleased shiny, despite it not being in the game at all, because changes to its code have recently been data mined for the game. So I am predicting that it sees a release soon, and its shiny premiering at Go Fest. During this habitat, Incense will produce encounters with Hawlucha, Sylveon, and unknown letters A, I, S, X, Y, and Z. I'm including Hawlucha as a non-shiny spawn since we got Maractus last year. In the Something Something habitat from 11 a.m. till noon and from 3 to 4 p.m., you will find Charmander, Eevee wearing something, Dratini, Slugma, Zangoose, Gible, Hippopotas, Darumaka, Fletchling, Litleo, Tyrunt, Togedemaru, and Dreepy. Incense during this habitat will yield encounters with Relicanth, Sylveon wearing something, and the same unknown letters. I'm going with Relicanth as the shiny regional made available for everyone, due to the fact that it's the shiny regional with the most eye appeal from the next generation after Corsola. From noon to 1 p.m. and 4 to 5 p.m., you will find Squirtle, Pikachu wearing something else, Clefairy, Chinchou, Carvanha, Seviper, Weasel, Turtuoga, Oranguru, Clauncher, Amora, Sandygast, and Bruxish as the second new shiny release. Finally, from 1 to 2 p.m. and 5 to 6 p.m., you will find Bulbasaur, Eevee wearing something else, Snorlax, Misdreavus, Makuhita, Bronzor, Archon, Passimian, Pancham, Esper, Citadel, and Sinistea, my final new shiny Pokemon prediction. 7-kilometer eggs obtained during the event will hatch Relicanth, Hawlucha, Honedge, Bruxish, Sinistea, Dreepy, or Larvesta. Yep, that's what I'm going with. Feel free to check back in a month or two and see how close I was. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there, trainers.